All right, so this is week 8 on the syllabus, and we're taking a look at factoring. There are two IXLs. Okay, the first IXL is actually a little bit easier kind of factoring, and then we'll talk about the harder one where you have to make 2 sets of parentheses. So let me write down this first. This is not in your notes, but it is on the it is on one of the IXLs. So let me kind of go over it. The kind of factoring that they have you do on the first IXL is factoring out what's called the GCF. Okay, that's the greatest common factor. That's generally when you look at 2 terms and you pull out what they both have in common. Okay, so here's an example. 3x and 5x squared. And I want to find the GCF. First thing you do is you look at the numbers in front. Find the biggest number that goes into both 3 and 5. What's the biggest number that goes into 3 and 5 without a remainder? I guess, yeah?
3.
3 goes into 3, but 3 doesn't go into 5 without a remainder. 1. So in this case, the biggest number is 1. Okay, they don't have any other number in common. So the GCF is a 1. And now, how many x's does the first one have? In 3x, how many x's there? Yep, 1. How many x's in 5x squared? 2 x's, like if you wrote it like this. So the first one has 1, the second one has 2. How many do they both have in common? Yep, just 1. So that's the GCF, 1x, or most of the time I think they're just going to have you write x. That's it. That's called finding the GCF. Let's do 2y and 8y cubed. Okay, so start with the number. What's the biggest number that divides into 2 and 8 without a remainder? Brady, do you see one? 2, yeah. So they both have a 2 in common. And then how many y's do they both have in common? Yeah,
1.
just 1 y. So that is the GCF. All right, let me make up another one. Let's do 4x squared and I don't know. Let's do 26x cubed. All right, now I want to find the GCF. All right. What's the biggest number that goes into 4 and 26 without a remainder? How about Ryan? You see what the biggest number would be that goes into 4 and 26?
How does 4 go into 26? Doesn't it go into 24?
Yeah, 4 goes into 24. 4 does not go into 26.
So 6?
So the GCF can't be bigger than 4.
Oh.
Because 6, if a number is bigger than 4, it won't go into 4. So it can't be any bigger than 4.
Oh, 2.
2, yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
So the biggest number that goes into 4 and 26 is 2.
Yeah.
And how many x's do they both have in common this time? Yeah, right?
2.
2. This has, think of it like this, 4 times x times x. That's 26 times x times x times x, and you write down how many they both have in common. So that's the GCF. All right. So any questions on finding, if I give you two numbers, finding the GCF? How about this one? 3x and 7. Anybody think they know the GCF there? Yeah? Just one. Look at the biggest number that goes into 3 and 7. It's just a 1. And then how many x's do they both have in common? None. So x is not part of the GCF. All right. So that's how you find the GCF. Okay, so there's a whole IXL just on that one. That's pretty quick. All right, so let's look at some factoring. Okay, so you guys already have all of this printed. So I'll just read through the steps, and then we'll do four examples, and that'll be it. So the first thing is we have to make sure it's in the right order. So the order that we're generally looking for is something like that. Okay. Something with an exponent of 2, something that doesn't have an exponent, just has a letter, and then the last one doesn't have any letters at all. Okay, so that's the order that you want to get it in. And the next thing you want to try to figure out is write down a list of all the things that multiply to give you the number at the end. All right. So like when we did that example H on the coloring activity, I think the number at the end was a 6. So 3 times 2, 6 times 1. Okay, so you make a list of all the numbers that multiply to give you that. Once you know the numbers that multiply to give you something, they have to add or subtract to give you the one in the middle. Okay, so that's the part that can be a little tricky. All right, so they have to multiply to give you this one, and then they have to add or subtract to give you that one. So you might think, oh, well, 50 times 1 is 50. Yep, that's true. But now, if you add them together, you get 51. That's not the number in the middle. And if you subtract 50 and 1, you get 49. That's not the number in the middle either. So there's got to be something else besides 50 times 1. That gives you 50. All right. So we'll practice that. And then this chart gives you the rules for the signs in the parentheses. Okay, so there's 3 options. They're either both positive, they're both negative, or one of each, a negative and a positive, or a positive and a negative. So there's different ways you can kind of go through that, but I'll try to help you right now with figuring out the signs and the numbers. Okay, so let's start with this one. Okay, p squared equals 13p plus 42. Okay, first thing, is that in the right order? You think, yeah. You're supposed to have the exponent of 2, then just the one with the letter, and then the one that's just a number. All right, so now, off to the side, we're going to list all the things that multiply to give me 42. Somebody give me, I usually try to start with like the smallest number, so that's usually 1 and 42. What's the next thing you could multiply to get 42? Like try to go up by 1 with that number if you can. Yep. 2 and 21. All right. How about 3 and, I think 3 does work. You know, yeah? 3 times 16 would be 48. But 3 and, yep, 14, yep. So you got 3 and 14. How about 4? I don't think you can do that because 4 times 10 is 40. 4 times 11 is 44. So 4 doesn't work. Yeah. Yeah. 5, well, 5 doesn't work because for a number to be divisible by 5, it has to end in a 0 or 5. How about 6? Yep. And now you've reached a point where if you keep going and you go the next number up, it would be 7. But then it would be 7 times 6, which is a repeat. So those are the only numbers that multiply to give you 42. All right, so now we're looking for numbers that multiply to give me 42, and they have to add to give me what number? 13. Yep, they have to add to give me 13. Is there a combination in that list that multiplies to 42? Well, they all multiply to 42, but does it add to 13? Yep. 6 and 7, yep, so it's going to be this. So if we look at our chart, we have, kind of made it a little hard to see, but we have a positive and a positive. So you go to the row where you see a positive, and it tells you how to set it up. It's going to be an X and a plus, and an X and a plus. And now you just fill in your two numbers. Since it's a plus and a plus, it doesn't matter which one you put where. If it was a plus and a minus, then we have to be a little more careful. You just fill in 6 and 7. There you go. That's it. That's how you factor it. Let's try another one. So this time, it's a minus and it's a plus. Okay, let me start to set it up right away. Okay, it's always going to start just like that. But now let's see what we have in parentheses, a minus and a plus. Let me number the rows. Which row has, let's see. No. Which row has a minus and a plus on the left-hand side? 2, yep. So this is I call that one the middle, and I call that one the constant. That's the one in the middle, and that's the one that's in front of the number. That's the constant. So when we have a minus and a plus, we're going to set it up as minus, minus. Okay, so when we do our answer, what's nice is we can get that without any guessing. Now 15. Eli, can you give me something that multiplies to give me 15?
50 or 15?
15.
5 times 3.
Okay, so 3 times 5. And what about the one before that? 1 times 15. That's it. There's nothing else. All right, so now it's a minus and a minus. So does it matter which number we put where? No, because they're both going to be minus. Let's check it. If you add 3 and 5 together, you do get 8. So that's, if you FOIL it out, that's what we did last week. You get x squared minus 5x minus 3x. A minus 5 combined with a minus 3 is a minus 8. Perfect. Any question on that one? Let's look at this one. So you can start just like that. Positive, negative. Let's go back and look at our chart. Which row has a positive in the middle and a negative for the constant? Last one. Yep. So that tells us when we write our answer, it's going to have a plus and it's going to have a minus because it has one of each. Now it matters which number we put where. Okay? And this gives you a hint which number is going to go where. All right, so let's set it up as a plus and a minus. And we're looking for numbers that multiply to give me what in this case? Yeah? 50. Okay, so we got 1 and 50. Start with that one. What's the next one? 2 and 25. 3 doesn't work. 3 doesn't go into 50. 4, well, 4 times 12 is 48. 4 times 13 is 52. So no, 4 doesn't work. How about 5?
Times 10.
Yep, times 10. 6 doesn't work. 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times 8 is 48. 7 doesn't work. 7 times 7 is 49. That's as close as you can get. And now we'd start repeating. All right, so now you've got all your numbers. Which pair of numbers is it going to be that would give us a 5 in the middle? Yep.
5 times 10.
Yep, it's going to be these two numbers. But it matters which one we put where. It says plus the bigger number minus the smaller. Okay, so let's try it. Plus the bigger, 10's bigger, and then we're going to do minus 5 is smaller. Okay, let's check. So that should be our answer. That's x squared minus 5x plus 10x. And 10 times negative 5 is negative 50. Combine your like terms. Negative 5 plus 10 is positive 5. Perfect. So the answer is what's in the box. That was just me checking the answer. All right, and the last one. Oh, you know what? I didn't pay attention to the letter. I did X. It doesn't matter what the letter is, but you should use the same letter that they use. Sorry about that. All right, and the last one is K. Okay. K. All right. We got a negative in the middle. We got a negative at the end. Which row is that one?
Third one.
Yep, that's going to be the third one. So that tells us your answer is going to have a minus and it's going to have a plus. Okay, so this again is important which one goes where. All right, so I'm going to have a minus and a plus, and now we're going to figure out some numbers that multiply to give me 20. Okay, what multiplies to give me 20? All right, 10 and 2. Anything before that one?
1 and 20.
So 1 and 20. All right, 3 doesn't work. How about 4? 4 and 5. Okay, so we got all the things that multiply to give us 20. And now we're looking for something that subtracts to give us, oh, you tell me, we're trying to subtract to get what number? Yeah, we're trying to subtract to get the number in the middle. Okay, so it's definitely a 2 and a 10. Let's look back at row 3. Subtract the bigger number, add the smaller. Okay, so subtract the bigger. Which number is bigger in the pair that we picked? Subtract the bigger, add the smaller. Let's check it. That's k squared plus 2k minus 10k, and negative 10 times 2, negative 20. Combine like terms. 2 take away 10 is negative 8. Perfect. So on that coloring worksheet, one of these gives you the number, and then the other one gives you the color to do for that number. And that's it for this week.